Cash your pen. Oh.
It is showtime. Hey, everybody. What is up on this wonderful yet cold Friday evening? And welcome to The Culture Shock.
The Culture Shock.
Don't mind Yusuf over here. He got E. coli. Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers out
to Yusuf. I feel like I need to just go take me a cup full of bleach and we'll be okay. Who knows? To my right, I have the lovely Lady V. Say hello to the people, sugar.
Hey, people.
And then to my right or left, we got
Afro Black. I like Afro Black. I'm sticking with Afro Black. Afro Black.
Isn't that already taken?
No, it's not. It sounds like it should be though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not taken yet.
We got Affleck.
Oh wait, no. That's taken.
Afro Black. So Yusuf will be changing his name on Instagram to Afro Black. So if y'all ever wonder where we get these names from, these are our Instagram names.
Yeah.
So Vonnie's name is Lady V. I am Miss Nicole. Yusuf, I guess, is gonna be Afro Black.
Okay.
Lord, thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers, y'all. It has been a whirlwind week in the good old U.S. of ours. That's what we're going to refer to it, because this is not America anymore. We are not in America anymore. We done landed in the Twilight Zone.
You're taking a left that you didn't expect.
Child. I don't even know where to begin with this week. It has just been that crazy of a week that I'm just like Mr. Producer already was like, yeah, I got a lot to talk about. We was trying to figure out, like, how can we get it all into an hour? And then the group chat got heated. I'm like, look, we just gonna talk about everything, because it's just been a crazy week. I think this has been a crazy week.
With crazy weather,
good
crazy
Lord.
Politics, crazy everything.
I'm trying to go back. Okay, so we've already discussed Mr. Witherspoon's passing.
Right.
That was a heck of a homegoing. In case you guys did not see it, they had he was called Pops. So everybody knew him. So like out of all the roles he played, why do we always remember him as Pops?
That's so dynamic. So cultural iconic movie.
I don't even know. So here you go, guys. We're gonna start here. Vonnie.
Yes.
Talk to us about Rodney Reed, girl.
Okay, so for those who are not aware, I don't know why, because this has been all over social media. So Rodney Reed is a black man who is on death row in Texas. He was convicted for a crime that he did not commit. Sorry, but yeah, he was convicted for a crime that he did not commit, and so on November 20th, that's his date to be executed. And a lot of people have been sending petitions, calling, and emailing and contacting just Texas representatives and the governor of Texas, asking for him to stop the execution from happening. And so what you guys can all do is go online. I know Sean King, if you follow him on Instagram, if you're very aware of him, he is a black activist. Mm-hmm. He's been posting a lot about the petition that you can sign. So if you go on his Instagram, you can find it. We're going to post it on the Culture Shots.
It is already on there.
Actually, it's already on there.
I was on it.
If you're friends with me, I posted it too. So you can go and sign the petition. But basically, what happened was this man convicted of a murder he didn't do. Evidence came out that obviously he didn't do the crime, and so
actually pointed to the fiance, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually the fiance.
Allegedly.
Yeah. So the victim was a white woman, and her fiance was the one who killed her, and he actually admitted to killing her. He was or is a part of the Aryan Brotherhood, if you're very familiar with that. Yeah. And so he's a prison guard and was talking to another prison inmate who was part of the Aryan Brotherhood and was like bragging about how he killed her. And he said, like, yeah, I had to kill he called her nigga loving fiance. Yeah, it's in the article about it, but yeah. So he's like, I gotta offer. So he killed her. And Dr. Phil's even talked about this. He had it on his show, and the investigators on the show was like, look, when the body was found, we're seeing signs that the body was actually moved. The crime scene where they found her was not the original crime scene. Her nails were cut, so it was definitely someone who was dealing with who understood forensics of some sort, understood how evidence can be left under fingernails. And she was set to get married in a week, so people were like, look, ain't no woman like a week or so before her wedding date is going to get her nails cut as low as they were.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, we need to do something about this. So please sign a petition, email, call, whoever you can get a hold of our sex representatives, and then especially the governor and all his people. Yeah.
That's so crazy.
It is. So with that being said, like, what are your guys' take on the death penalty? Like, I have my own opinion about it. What are your guys' opinion about it? Considering
y'all know
we have this case that we're talking about, an innocent man is going to be executed for a crime he did not commit.
It's too early in the show for me to be speechless. So many thoughts.
So
I don't even know where to start with this.
This is a reoccurring theme when I get hit with questions like this. Is that I need to take a look at it in multiple ways. Like, and this is no hate to the Me Too movement at all or anything. But like when I see like the believe all women thing, and I'm like, yo, like women deserve the right to be able to say whenever they are assaulted and all that. But then as a black man, I'm like, oh man, there's a lot of black people, especially black men in jail because of the word of some like girl. Okay. So it makes it really hard to take things like that. So the death penalty. So I believe that we spend way too much money on prison in general, and I think we should have way more focus on helping and like getting people back. But I also do feel like there is a good amount of crimes where if you commit them, you should just be gone. Like we shouldn't be spending money to have you sit. Okay, so I either believe we should keep the death penalty or get rid of life sentences. Because I'm like, if you're gonna put someone in prison for life, then just kill them, honestly and truly. But at the same time, we are not at a state technologically, not judge-wise, not the way you handle things, where I feel like we could fairly implement these sentences. So that in my ideal utopia, you mess around and like rape someone, we get rid of you, like in that. But in this utopia, you don't actually have to do anything to get put on the death row. Right. So I don't know, it's hard.
So okay. So I feel like I feel like if somebody is on the death penalty, I feel like there should be a way that you just loud and aggressive. Okay, we're gonna turn this down. I feel like if a person is on death penalty or gonna be executed, I feel like there should be a better way to tell if the person actually did whatever.
Right, like it needs to be beyond there needs to be
there needs to be like no shadow of a doubt that this person is innocent before they're executed. It shouldn't be like he really didn't do it. Well, tough shit, we're gonna execute.
Like we don't need to see you like at the scene of the crime with a picture or something before we can just start executing people.
I don't even need to see you with a picture. I need to see you at the scene of the crime on video committing the act. Right. I'm sorry, because pictures can be set up. Mm-hmm. What's up, Mr. Producer?
We got a question from Lexi Johnson.
Hey, Griff.
She says, what do you think should fall under the death penalty? I assume she means crimes.
Mm-hmm. I would say things like mass murder. Basically crimes, heinous crimes that weren't in the heat of the moment, like not crimes of passion. Right. If you get into a scuffle with someone, they accidentally die, I don't think you should be killed for that. It's going to be tough in your psyche too. But like when you're like committing crimes, like preemptively thinking about murdering someone, sexual assaults of like heinous nature should definitely probably get put on the death penalty. Things of that nature, terrorist attacks, torturing.
So like you kidnap somebody and torture them, whether they lived or not. You
probably just
let's go ahead and give them a shot in the neck because that's just. And I see Emily because I got it up here today, Mr. Producer. I got y'all too. Emily said, as of this year, Wisconsin became the state with the highest African-American incarceration rate, with 1 in every 8 Black adult males seeing prison sentences. What do you guys think about that, girl? I got a whole
we've talked about this.
We have talked about this a lot. We have definitely talked about this a lot. And especially, like I said, working with the two families, that has just been. I'm trying to figure out a politically correct way to say this, and it's just not working for me. But judges like Judge Wood, Judge John Wood, and Judge Barbara McCrory, they're gonna find reasons to put Black people in jail. They're going to find reasons to put Black people or white people associated with Black people in jail. They're gonna find any reason to put people who are not white in jail, whether you're Hispanic, Asian, whatever the case is. I'm just gonna call it out with their names. What you gonna do? It's just, we should not be the highest. And see, we were talking about this. Me and my cousin were talking about it because we were trying to say. She said we were number one, and I said no. I thought we were outranked this year. She said by who? And I said I thought it was like Iowa or Alabama or something like that. And then we moved right back up to number one. That's a problem for me.
Especially in Wisconsin. Wisconsin has led a lot of the, especially progressive movements, and it's really crazy that like we are dealing with such like institutionalized racism, like straight up. When I was at the leadership conference, they were talking about, I wish I could remember the area code, in Milwaukee, and how at one point it was like a huge center for like Black business and stuff, and then literally in the last like 12 years got destroyed, and that's a huge reason why Wisconsin does have a lot of these. The things that are associated with it now is because there was a point when there was a time where like Black people could get ahead a little bit in Wisconsin, and in a lot of the same way in Oklahoma with the bombing Black Wall Street and all that, we got hit because we were like starting to rise, and that's now what you're number one for Black incarceration. Like it's insane.
I would even say, and it's just, and when you have, as Vonnie's mom would say, I like how she worded it, the powers that be in office, and they spew hatred daily. That you're spewing hatred daily, and because you're spewing hatred daily, that's allowing citizens to spew hatred daily. And then what I don't understand is when they spew hatred, certain races spew hatred in what they say daily, and then we just supposed to sit back and take it. But then when we stand up for ourselves and defend ourselves, whether we're doing it violently, whether we're trying to be educated about it, then we're looked at poorly because, well, you should just turn the other cheek. Do I look like Jesus?
Right. I am not my grandparents.
I don't get it. I don't understand.
Don't be like I'm not my grandparents, because remember, it's our grandparents who fought for civil rights too. Just saying. My grandparents didn't turn the other cheek. They may have turned the other cheek, but a fist or something might be coming right along with them. So but like I said, I don't understand how we're expected to sit back, or we're looked at as angry Black people, you're being a stereotype because you can't articulate your feelings, or because you decide to fight. No, we're not gonna sit back and just be talked to any kind of way. We deserve the same respect as the next person.
Yeah, right. But that's a huge and that's why it makes it hard to have stances like, especially about justice, where you're like, yo, things should be definitely one way or definitely another way, because since the playing field that we've been on has never been level, it's so hard to even give like a hypothetical, like, how do you think things should go? It's like, well, they will definitely always go one way for one group and typically another way for another. Like even, and it's interesting now seeing the dynamic shift more from like a racial dynamic to more of a class dynamic, but the racial dynamic is definitely still there and needs to be acknowledged. But it's crazy even to the extent the way a cop is allowed to treat you versus the way you're allowed to treat a cop. Like it's always like, oh, respect the police officer, but they're not expected to show you that same respect back. Like they don't have to. They're not like,
it's all an abuse of power.
Right. These power structures just aren't like, we're not in it's so hard to even think about what to do, what the right way to do things is, because these power dynamics always get so corrupt and so crooked.
And you have those thoughts where it's like, okay, so this person is treating me this way. So okay, prime example, right? So I have a friend who was pulled over by a state patrol officer a couple weekends ago. She works in Edgerton. And she went on Facebook and she said, I'm in the hospital because this officer pulled me over. I kept telling him I'm getting really dizzy. I'm having an anxiety attack. He pretty much called her a liar, said she was on something. This girl has a full-on anxiety attack, was admitted into the hospital. And the officer was just kind of like, oh, she was for real? And went on about his business. And so, again, and I mean, she was afraid to the point that she didn't want to drive to work anymore. She didn't want to drive to work by herself anymore. She didn't really want to leave the hospital. She had to have somebody come and get her because she was so scared to drive. And it's like, this is what we have to put up with now. This is really what we have to deal with now. You know, it's just, I don't even know what to say anymore. I don't even know.
Let's go ahead.
Man, we just gonna.
Yeah, I hope that if this man is put to death though, or like
I hope
and
he's not.
like Texas needs to get their stuff together right now. They are.
Texas is a hot mess.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hot messes right now, but like Texas, you can't be like
Texas.
Y'all in the
7-0
top
for
10.
like murdering black
Y'all in the
folks
top
for no
10.
reason.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Hispanic man says he was doused with battery acid
Yeah.
in racist attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just.
Was it in Milwaukee?
Yeah, it was in Milwaukee,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean, it's not surprised.
So, long story short, got second-degree burns on his face.
Yeah.
Doused him with a chemical during an argument on Friday over how his vehicle was parked.
Over a parking space.
How his vehicle was parked. Splashed. It's a video of it, and the man splashed battery acid into his face, left him with second-degree burns. Who just walking around with battery acid? Right
Yeah,
now?
that was
You was planning that.
right.
Battery acid.
That's when I heard
Mr.
the story. I was like,
Where do you buy battery acid?
Ace Hardware.
You just get battery acid?
Like, can you just buy it? Do you have to have any kind of license or anything?
I used to work in the lab, and to get like any stronger acids and like pHs of like 4, we needed to go through all types of stuff. So I have no clue how someone just gets battery acid, or why you have it available during an argument.
Why
Like,
you
who was
just
in
happen to
our
have
minds,
battery
like-
acid?
Yeah, why are you ready to use it?
Right.
Over a parking spot. There's more things in life to be upset about. A parking spot is not.
And yeah, heard that there were some racial things said during the argument.
And looky here, Milwaukee mayor targets President Trump in alleged acid attack. He pretty much said that because this man is spewing hatred constantly, and because he's constantly just his tweets, everything he says that comes out of his mouth, outside of being a complete dumbass, everything that comes out of his mouth is some kind of hatred, some kind of racial something, some kind of something. And so he's saying that because of how he chooses to lead the country, this has opened it up now. Like, not that it wasn't there to begin with, but this has now opened it up to.
It's giving people free range to do whatever they want, whatever racial negativity that they were holding.
That's the dangerous thing, is that we don't want to give Mr. President the benefit, I don't know, of saying that he is the motivation behind it. He's not the motivation, but it definitely would be naive to say that he's not a pivotal part of the mindset of a lot of these people. Because like a lot of times you get in the argument of people like, oh, it's Trump's fault this happened. It's not Trump's fault, but he definitely could be doing more to prevent these things.
Yes, yeah. I wouldn't even say and I hate to say it like this because I'm not trying to put it like I'm on his side or nothing like that, but I wouldn't say that it's his fault. I wouldn't say that these individual things are his fault, but I would most certainly hold him responsible because it's what he's saying that has people feeling like, oh, well, this is our freedom of speech, so we can go ahead and say what we want to say. And
especially since a lot of these people have straight up said, like, yeah, I did this because of our president. I felt comfortable doing this because of our president.
Who did that mass shooting was like, oh yeah, because Trump said.
Yeah.
Trump said this, so I was like, sure, I'm gonna go do it.
Right. It's insane.
Yeah.
Lord. We just need to pray straight up. Suspected white supremacist arrested in thwarted synagogue attack. Of course, that was breaking news on ABC News. So FBI's officials have arrested 27-year-old suspected white supremacist who allegedly planned a bombing at a Colorado synagogue. Richard Holzer was allegedly planning to target Temple Emmanuel in Pueblo, which is the state's second oldest synagogue. He's charged with attempting to obstruct religious exercise by force using explosives and fire. Go ahead. Because I know somebody gonna say it, so say it.
I have a lot to say about this. I am glad that he was caught. That's good. I'm glad that his actions were able to be carried out. But what was the race of this man?
Look,
did you really have to ask?
Yeah, just
you know.
yeah.
So if y'all wondering what I'm looking at, and I'm sure y'all ain't gonna be able to see this, so I'm gonna just post a story while we sitting here. I'm gonna post it to our Facebook page, the Culture Shock Beloit. Go ahead and follow us, and you'll see it there. Dude is smiling in his mugshot.
Yeah,
like he's smiling. This is a demonic kind of. Satanic kind. Right. He is smiling like he is pleased.
Like Joaquin Phoenix and the Joker.
Like, yes, you pleased at what you did.
Right.
What?
He probably would have been smiling bigger if he got away with it too.
You right. You know you right about it.
Probably, unless he was one of those people who's like, oh, I'm gonna.
He was probably gonna smile regardless.
And I'm gonna kill myself at the end.
Right.
He was probably gonna smile. No, you know he wouldn't have killed
himself.
Like
in time, it's.
You know he wouldn't have killed himself.
I feel like.
There seems to be this like dismissal of feelings during times like this, where people are saying like, oh, like everyone's so strung up and everyone's so nervous and everyone's so worried right now about being attacked and this and this and this. But how do you tell somebody, like when the school shootings happened and all the stats came out, it was like, you're more likely to die from this thing than from a school shooting and blah, 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 and all that stuff. But how do you sit and like tell someone like, oh, you're like being afraid for nothing, when there's like these things being planned, there's like church shootings and like synagogues are going to be bombed and all this stuff. Like, how do you tell people, like, what are people supposed to be look up to and feel safe about?
I've had a professor straight up tell me, he was like, with everything going on. And this was several years back, actually. He told me, he was like, oh yeah, this stuff that's going on, like, I feel like people are trying to like make a bigger deal out of it than what's actually going on, or something, like make it bigger than what it is, or make it seem like it's happening more often than what it is. And I was like, first of all, it took me back, because I was like, I don't know what to say to you, because first of all, I thought we was cool. Second of all,
I was wrong.
I guess I was wrong. Second of all, yeah, so how are you going to dismiss someone's feelings and legit fears? And to add on to that, I think later on that day, one of my best friends, he was going to Stevens Point at the time, he sent me a message saying that the school released an email telling all the minority students to be careful walking around Stevens Point because of the all the tension and all the attacks that are going on.
Mommy went to Stevens Point.
Yeah,
she went to so. You gotta remember, as Chris says, Chris Walton, this vintage bullshit, right? Mm-hmm. So we got new school violence. Mom had 1981 violence. Mm-hmm. Okay, so she was there in the 80s. Mom has told me some stories about some of the stuff that she's experienced while she was on campus at Stevens Point. She said that's why she left.
I can believe that.
She left Stevens Point and she went to SUNO. Southern New Orleans, Southern University. She left Stevens Point and said, nope, I got to go. She said that whole experience being there changed how she looked at her white friends when she came home. Because she said it looked at them as, you know, did they feel like that about her? Right. She said it was friends that were here at home when she would come home from visits and whatever, from Stevens Point. And she said it would be friends who would call the house and want to talk to her, and she wouldn't call them back. Or someone to meet up with you, she wouldn't go and meet up with them. She hung around her black friends, and she said eventually she just got to the point. She went to Southern University in New Orleans and had to go to an HBCU because she said it was just so it was traumatizing. Yeah. So we got new school violence, which is psycho, but then you got old school 1981.
I believe it because I knew someone who went to Stevens Point for their first year. They were Black, and they ended up transferring out of Stevens Point because of just how bad it was up there. And he said that, I believe it was like his first week up there, there was a fight that broke out because white folks was messing with Black students up there. So I can believe it. And I've been to Stevens Point several times, and let me tell you, there's a point when you're driving up to go there where the only thing it's just an energy shift.
Yep.
Like it goes from like you're cool and then you get a little past Madison, and then it's like a whole different world. It's like, okay, you're entering territory where you got to be careful at. And the first time I ever went there, I stopped at a McDonald's to go use the restroom there, and I thought I had left my wallet there, and I was freaking out because when I walked into McDonald's, everyone just stopped and stared at me. I was walking to the restroom. I was like, oh my goodness, like I can't go back in there, and this is a stop that I can't stop at again. So every time I went up there, I had my pit stop at this one particular like side the rest area place, and that was my only stop going up to Stevens Point.
So y'all can imagine. So y'all can imagine what it's like, and I don't know if you guys feel that way when you go into Janesville, but that's how I feel.
Yeah,
it is and that's something that me and my mom say frequently, is that coming into Beloit. So even tonight, coming into Beloit, I was on 51. I got into Beloit and I was just like, okay, I'm home, I'm comfortable, I can run into wherever I can run in the gas station, leave my car run, I'm good, I'm great. Right. But Janesville, I know going home, I'm going to tense up. Janesville ain't but 10, 15 minutes north, but it is like a totally different.
Well, Janesville used to be a sundown town.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah.
And
that's something that they don't want to accept. Oh no, don't tell.
Janesville,
I'll say
it. Clinton. Like,
I'll say it. I don't care. I'll say it because y'all know I don't care. I ain't got no filter. I don't care. I'll say it. Don't tell Chief Morton because he dropped his complete jaw when I said that.
Yeah.
Chief Morton, Janesville
like, very strong.
Dropped it like he didn't know, or dropped it like, oh, I can't believe he said it. Drop it.
Probably both, but he played face like. When I told him, I said, and Lexi is loving this comment because she knows the truth. When me and my mom were on a committee there, and they wanted to bridge the gap between the Black community and the police department. And I remember I went to one of the first meetings that I went to when they asked me to be the secretary, and they sitting there talking about how they want to get to work, they want to hit the ground running doing work, which is fine, that's great, I'm glad you want to do that. But when I started listening to what they were saying, and they asked me, so of course, so they asked me, what are your thoughts, this, that, and the next, and I said, okay. I said, I understand what you guys are trying to do, I respect it. I said, that's great. I said, but it does not sound like you guys have done the homework. And they was like, well, what do you mean? And I said, okay. I said, so I said, let me just be me for a second. And I told him, I said, when I took driver's ed with a white driver's ed teacher. I said, and everybody who went to Rock Valley Driver School, everybody know Mr. Franklin, love him to death. But the man who did my driving lessons when we was in the car would tell me to be careful. Mind you, another white man telling me, be careful going to Janesville. It wasn't Mr. Franklin, it was the man who did my driving lesson. He said, be careful going to Janesville. If you ever have to go to Janesville, be careful. And I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking also, why would I need to be careful? Or why do I need to go to Janesville? I didn't really go there that much anyway. And he said, because you're a nice girl, and I would hate to hear that something happened to you. He said, if you have to go to Janesville, take I-90, go in and get out. And I'm like, okay. And when I told them that at the meeting, they was like, he says, well, clearly we haven't done our research and maybe we need to go back to the drawing board because I had no idea that people were being taught that in Beloit. I'm like,
yeah. And that's a lot of things. I see a huge disparity. Maybe no disparity might work between the like lessons that like young Black kids need to have, like the things that we get told, like this hyper awareness that we have to have about situations and places, like the fact that I see so many of my white friends, I love them the best, but able to just like exist in areas so freely and it's not a problem. Right, not considerate of all these things. Like they don't really need to be like thinking about this stuff because their parents didn't tell them like, yo, be careful in these areas. Like no matter how you feel about racial tension dynamics or you think this is all fake or not, you can't say that like that isn't an important thing to consider when you're talking about like stuff like that. The fact that like you have people that are like, oh, I don't understand why Black people are so afraid of the police. It's like, do you really not understand like why Black people are afraid of the police?
Or do you not want to understand?
Right.
Like, I think there's a big difference where
very much so.
You are willing to stay ignorant. If you're willing to stay ignorant, then we know that you're part of the problem.
Well, and again, and it's incredible. It is shocking. It is shocking that you can go 15 minutes north and it is a complete.
That's all it takes.
So we will say and I'll say it. I will be blatant. In Beloit, we got a thing going on here that Janesville don't. In Beloit, we can sit and we can have a white producer for a Black podcast, and ain't nobody batting an eye about it. Ain't nobody questioning Aaron about, well, why are you doing that? Well, why are you? We can have white people and Black people at birthday parties, funerals, weddings, church. We can, as Black people, can walk up in OLA and they're going to welcome us. And OLA can walk into Emmanuel, New Covenant, New Zion, and they are welcome with open arms. But in Janesville, please walk up in there if you want to. They're going to be like, okay, well.
It's a different. I had one of the ladies at our Democratic meeting used to live in Janesville. She came back a long time, and that I will give Janesville some credit. Like they have changed a lot. I mean, there's not much you can do but go up from like a sundown town. But she was talking about there's so many more Black people around in Janesville now.
I noticed that a couple of years ago because another one of my best friends lives in Janesville. And she was telling me, she's like, yeah, we're getting more Black people. And I was like, I mean, that's cool. But I don't think I'm going to be one of them.
Right.
However, I do know it used to be a sundown town, and there's plenty of people who are probably still around who remember
had a strong Klan presence for a long time. Like,
they did. When I went to Whitewater, because that's where I went from my undergraduate, one of our family friends was like, hey, be careful going to Janesville, because that's where, the Klan... That's where the Klan be meeting up. Yep. Be careful when you have to go to Janesville, because I mean, if you want to do anything in Whitewater, other than go to Walmart, really, and like do whatever campus activities or off-campus activities, there may be. You gotta go to Janesville.
Yep. So,
odd question.
Go ahead.
So.
No, Lord.
When we talk about racial dynamics and racial tension and all that, and there's this thing about oppressors not telling the oppressed, like basically how to win their selves back. Like you can't really tell like the oppressed people how to protest and this and this and this.
Right.
Who do you think? Where is the responsibility for like racial tension to be eased? Do you think that and this is an odd thing to think about, but do you think it's in white people to accept us and to like come reach out to Black people and have them understand that they're accepted? Or do you think it's up to Black people to like insert themselves into society and really show like where?
No, I don't think it's Black people's job to insert ourselves into society when we've been kicked out of society on so many different levels, whether it's financial, educational, family-wise.
Yep.
It is not our job to do that. So I'm going to make that known and clear right now. So I don't think we have to be sitting there like, can we bring a chair to the table when the table was not built for us?
Nope.
I think it's personally for me, I think it's just more so Black people, we just got to depend on each other.
Yep.
And get whatever help we need from within our community, because we're not accepted elsewhere. That's how I feel about that. So
it's true. It is very true.
I mean, like, I don't know. It is not Black people's job. That's like, I feel like that's like telling the victim of abuse, like, how do you go and find this abuse? Do you go reach out to the abuser, or do you find it within yourself? And I'm like, find it within yourself.
Yep.
But also, with the history America has, we got to be careful because there's been plenty of examples,
absolutely,
where Black people were like, we're going to do our own thing, and this is how we're going to do it. And we was doing the thing. And then it gets shut down, destroyed, bombed, set on fire, rioted, mass killings, the whole 9 yards.
Yep.
So, no, it is not on Black people.
Okay.
Nope, I agree.
But like, I think a huge thing that we need to not get past, but like work towards in America is, and it's happening more now, and that's a beautiful thing, is white people being able to actually like be proper allies to the African American community. Because there seems to be, like, a lot of times you'll see white people get really upset when Black people are like, yo, like, fuck all white people. And to be fair, maybe we shouldn't go about saying fuck all white people. But if you are an ally, then you understand where that's coming from and you can, like, understand. But we need to have more white people that can objectively look at history, understand where these feelings of, like, Black anger and even retaliation come from, and even be able to speak out against other white people. Because that seems to be where everything crumbles at. Because, like, every time I see, like, any type of Black protest, no matter it's kneeling, standing, blocking traffic, posting, like, it's met with so much resistance from, like, everyone, oh, like, that's too much. Oh, I feel like we're hitting white people when you do this. Oh, this and this and that and the other. But, like, is the key to repairing race relations in America for white people then to be doing this? Because like, do Black people, like, do we have the ability to come out of this on our own? Like, where do we need our allies, like, to be like standing in this issue? Because you're right, I do think that needs to come from within us, and I do, but it feels like, and maybe that's the issue, is the table wasn't built for us. We're trying to get seats at the table that was built for us, so we need a new table. It's probably the case. Like, it's not like how do we like rebuild all this, and like how do we get that help? How do we bridge that gap? We don't need an answer right now. That's a tough one. I feel like we've been working on this for like 70 years now.
Like, with
that is just a question that I feel like enough white people aren't asking themselves. I feel like not too many white people aren't asking, like, how do we bridge the gap between that and that?
Yeah.
Because they're still trying to be like, okay, let's make a way. We're like, oh, Jay-Z is a billionaire. That's great. Let's make more room at this table. Let's make these power structures more inclusive to these Black people, but never actually looking at the power structures themselves.
And I think that with that, not only do we not have enough, because again, and let me put the disclaimer out there, we are not referring to all white people. Okay, so I want to put that disclaimer out there because y'all know. So we're putting the disclaimer out there.
I hate that we have to put out.
Yes, it is. Hopefully y'all watched the culture shock long enough, and you guys know who we are. You know how we are. But we want to put the disclaimer out there that we are not referring to all white people. So if you are a person who has been in the struggle with us, if you are a person who has genuinely fought with us, we thank you. But we're putting the disclaimer out there. We are not talking about all white people. Okay? Cool. So now I can say, I think that is not so much that not only do we not have enough white people asking, how can we bridge the gap? But I don't feel like there are a whole lot of them, maybe in our area to be specific, that are genuinely wanting to put forth the work. You have those who, we want to go ahead and we want to bridge the gap, and we're going to bridge the gap, but then you do these feel-good committees where you have these groups that are started so they can bridge the gap, and then, we helped and we've done a town hall meeting and we've gotten their feedback. Okay, and then that's just it. The group is not so much disbanded, or it's just, we're not doing it anymore, but they feel good enough because they can check it off their list that they've done something for, So I think that's an issue. That's just a whole conversation.
Yeah, I feel like, that is a whole conversation. Because I was about to say, first you got to go through accepting responsibility for what has happened, trying to actually just accepting responsibility is the biggest thing.
That would be
That's
the nice thing.
That's the biggest thing.
If white people could collectively
hey,
just be like, yo, we fucked
this is what we had.
Because there's too many people like, I'm not my ancestors. I never did this and this and this. And I'm like, we never said you did. We're not trying to say you owned a slave. We're just saying that maybe you should like at least like condemn the system. Like you don't have to like
just do it.
Like just be like, yo, America wasn't built properly. I would love to hear more of that. It's crazy how many people will refuse to say that this country wasn't built properly.
Give it about 10 more minutes. That's when the story's coming up. Just hold on.
All right.
Hold on. So I'm trying to tell y'all gonna be. I can't wait to tell y'all this one because that's gonna be one of those stories where I wish Mr. Producer was on camera because I personally can't wait to see his face when I tell this one. But you're going to have to wait. So, Talladega swears in its first African-American mayor. Talladega, Alabama. Boy. I'm happy about it for real.
Yeah, I am too, but there's a whole
It's 2019.
Still. The South has the highest population of black folks. And in Alabama, y'all just now getting y'all first mayor.
I mean, it's the little victories.
I mean,
look, you see me, I'm just sitting here like, I'm trying to find some kind of way to make sense of it. It's just the little victories. It's just.
Is it a victory? Yes, it is. Should we give a round of applause for it? Yes, we should. But definitely it's still a sign of that. There's still so much more
like
to go.
We really and then it comes to the did we get is the first black one now because none of the black people before were qualified, or is it because like we just now got it? There's that like, but at the same time like because I personally sometimes get frustrated with the focus on like the first black this, the first black that, the first black this. I feel like we don't focus enough on like we focus a lot on the novelty of the situation.
Yep.
And we don't focus on the longevity of it. Because there's been a lot of old times where it's been the first black person doing this thing and then not another black person ever again.
Exactly.
like which means that we didn't solve the issue of integration. We didn't actually get black people into it. We just had one person be the example that it could happen and then it never happened again.
Right. But I feel like that's all part of the system.
And that's
sprinkling like a little like here saying like, oh, you can do this, and then like being like, why aren't you doing this?
Right,
like,
exactly. And maybe that's again the table.
What the powers that be?
Right.
Man,
getting seats at a table that was not built for us.
Mom got me stuck on that phrase.
Yes.
Look, am I really going to be petty? Yeah, I am. I'm going to make him wait a little bit for that story. So here's a good one. Okay, because we're going to have to talk about that too. Jesus. Okay, so a principal, a black principal installed a free laundry mat type thing into his school because kids were being bullied for not having clean clothes. And, we've been seeing that even on TV where kids, they feel bad because they have to miss school because they don't have clean clothes or whatever the case is. And so I thought that was very cool that he installed that. I do remember one person. I know for sure. Hi, Mom. I got Mommy is watching. I love her. I always leave when she watches. But I do remember there was one girl that I was in school with, that we were in school with. Of course, I won't say her name, but I remember there was a girl that we were in school with, and we were in Miss Afeld's class, 7th grade at Aldridge, Miss Afeld. And I remember she was taking attendance and she wasn't in school. The girl wasn't there that day. I remember another boy that we all know. Couldn't remember. He didn't really know her. And he said, "Oh, is that dirty girl?" And she sent him to IS. I remember that. And we just felt so bad because we was like, dang. And we found out when she came back to school, we was like, were you feeling okay? Because we were all friends with her. And we was like, were you feeling okay? Are you okay? And she was like, oh, yeah. And she pulled me and a couple other people that she knew off to the side. And she said, I didn't have any clean clothes. And we didn't have stuff to do laundry. So I had to stay home because I hand washed my stuff, but it wasn't dry enough. I was like, oh, okay, I feel you. And so we kind of made it our goal, like if she ever needed that, like let us know. We got to wash and dry at our house. This person, let us know and we'll help. Because her mom, they weren't poor, but they were hard off anyway. So we tried to always help her.
We only just now got a new dryer. My dryer got broken, and we didn't know what to do.
Look,
laundry mats.
We have look. I think we have
the
all
first story. I got my stuff stolen out of one.
I heard the story. I was told the story. I felt bad, but no, I feel for people like that just because I think, and I don't know everybody's situation, but I know personally we've been through struggles before. You know, in my household, in my family, my mom raised me on her own. Thankfully, with the help of my godmommy, I will shout her out. If it was not for Carrie, Kenda, and Rodney, and so many others who stepped up and helped us, we could have easily been, I could have been one of that girl. But they always made sure that we always had, you know, what we needed. My mom worked, but it was, again, one of them jobs where, you know, hey, she worked for the school district and things were even still tight because she was a para, but it wasn't like that forever. But I've been through that. So I always have, you know, I got a soft spot for people like that. I felt bad. So I kudos to that teacher. Kudos to him.
That principal.
Yeah, kudos to him.
Yeah.
That's great. That's another way of making the Black community look like we're not crap. That's a great way to make us show that we actually do care. So that's great. I love seeing positive stuff about Black people. Now to the flip side.
No, that
Popeyes.
Popeyes? Oh, what did Popeyes do? Oh, wait, are we talking about? Okay, let's see.
I'm so tired of Popeyes being in the news for this dang chicken sandwich.
So the person got stabbed.
Yep.
And killed.
Yeah.
Because he asked for his sandwich with no pickles. And he got pickles on it. And he jumped over with an ice pick. And
see, I would first like to say,
girl,
who is carrying an ice? Okay.
My god sister Mercedes. When me and her was talking about it, she said, and he did it with an ice pick. I said, I know. She said, I mean, really, who still has an ice pick? I'm like,
it'd be like that.
I don't know.
See, and this story shows a huge way that so I hate the term black on black crime because crime just happens to people you live around. White people kill the most white people. Black people kill a lot of black people. That's kind of just how the way.
However, comma.
Right. But like this was almost a spectacle. Like they were like, oh yeah, black people killing each other over chicken, These two people had previous beef. They knew each other for a little bit, I guess, or met each other after that. I really don't like the way these the news reports reported this to be like, oh my god, like the Negroes killing each other over chicken. Oh look.
Oh wait, no, it was two separate stories. I'm sorry. So the pickles in the dang, this ain't even the story I was gonna tell Aaron about, but his face is already told. So the pickle sandwich is one story. He stabbed a man over he asked for no pickles and he stabbed a man. The ice pick is a man cut in line in front of somebody else. So it was a man who cut in front of a dude getting a chicken sandwich at Popeyes. They were both ordering chicken sandwiches, and he got both of them in Maryland. And they got mad. He got mad and he killed the man because you cut in front of me while I was trying to get my chicken sandwich. And I'm like,
okay.
Oh my goodness.
Little break. Have y'all tried this chicken sandwich?
I have not.
Okay, I haven't either.
I heard it, but it's not like it's new.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't get why are people going crazy and killing folks
apparently,
over this sandwich that has been out for
apparently I can't remember if it was Beyonce. Well, Beyonce, I know one, but somebody else, another celebrity, had the sandwich. They ordered it and they put it out there that it was good, but it wasn't like, oh, you should go get the chicken sandwich and it's back. And it was like, if you example, we had dog roll. Right. So if you put on there, the Inferno wings was great. And then all of a sudden, everybody wants to go and start eating Inferno wings, and then it just blows. That's how. And now folks
also the counter to the Chick-fil-A thing. I remember that. That's when it got real big. Was when Chick-fil-A was getting all. Ooh, I hate Chick-fil-A.
I mean,
it is. We need to get it together.
We black people, we as a people, have got to do better. We. As on behalf of the culture shock, we beg of you, public service announcement, please do better.
Yeah,
because it's just chicken.
It's just chicken.
It is just chicken,
and I hate that it's over chicken too.
Right,
because you already know they look at us
Right.
That's what I
thought. Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Can this be a fight over some lobster at a nice restaurant, please? Can we get it popping at like a nice little surfing?
The 615 Club.
Right.
I'll take a red lobster.
Let's get upset that our lobster bisque was not prepared correctly at the 615 Club. Let's be this hype over some risotto. Let's be this upset over a nice white wine.
Right.
Or a wine and cheese pairing.
We can get real angry about the empowerment of our people. We can like take all this energy.
Let's be this angry and get Trump out of office.
Right. Let's show up. We gotta do this.
Let's cut in line. Let's be upset that somebody cut in line at the poll.
Right.
Because we were waiting to vote, and Jim Bob, Billy Joe cut in front of us when we were in line to vote. We're upset about chicken.
Right.
Okay, I can't wait to tell this story because Aaron, I don't know what Aaron is doing, but I can't wait to see his face. So we're just gonna make sure we're looking at his face when we're telling this. Okay. 23 years a slave. Restaurant owner gets bullshit sentence for enslaving intellectually disabled black man. A South Carolina restaurateur was sentenced to prison after admitting he used violence, threats, and intimidation to force a black man to work more than 100 hours a week with no pay.
My thing, how many hours are in a week?
I don't know.
Week, 7 days, 24 hours.
I can't.
3 of them.
So,
24
like 100.
24.
Carrying 2, like
168.
Yeah,
168.
I had to, and I looked before I talked about it. I'm like, this can't be real. This can't. It is. It is
100 hours. He literally. Enslaved man.
100 hours. My thing is, like, did you see the mugshot picture?
I did.
Like, he was smirking in it.
Yep.
Like, smiling.
Yep.
And all I can think about during the time that I was reading the article after I saw his mugshot was, like, I feel like he admitted it because he thought nothing was gonna happen.
Well, you get 10 years.
Yeah, you got 10 years.
For a modern day slavery.
Right.
You got 10 years for a modern day slavery. If that ain't privilege at its finest.
Did he have to reimburse the man or do anything?
No, he had to pay.
He had to pay a
like $200,000
fine, but
that was
that's not no.
Let me see.
100 and something hours a week when there's only 168 hours in a week.
That's like at least 60 hours of overtime each time around.
10 years in federal prison. So he's the man is a black man. He's mentally disabled. He got physically abused Smith for at least 17 years, including whipping Smith with a belt, beating him with pots and pans, and even burning him with hot grease.
And this man he first enslaved this man for 17 years. He only got 10 years in prison.
Yep.
For 17 years.
10 years, and I've skimmed through this a few times while we're sitting here, and I'm looking through it right now, and it doesn't show that he has a fine to pay.
It's in there.
10 years federal prison.
Anyways,
that's still crazy. That's only 10 years. For
10 years.
Like a lot of times when people are like, when you talk about crimes and people getting like not like appropriate sentences, people love to say like, well, how much do you think they should have got? I feel like at least twice as much as he like enslaved them for is a start. Like you enslaved someone for 17 years and you only get 10 years in punishment for it.
My thing, that is 17 long years.
Right.
So was he not doing this around other people? Where were the other coworkers? Where were
I need
the
to
other
understand,
staff?
like, because this is not something you can do by yourself.
Yeah, so that's the thing I'm also thinking about. Like, where were the other coworkers when they were like, yo, this owner is abusing this man and treating this man wrong, and you know he ain't all the way there.
Well, a lot of the coworkers are probably benefiting from it. They're like, yo, I ain't feel like doing dishes today. I'm glad we got a slave to do them.
Yep.
Like,
he's ordered to pay $272,952.96 in restitution.
That's crazy. I've seen some white people go to prison for like a year wrongfully and get like $3 million. Right. So it's crazy that this man was in prison for 17 years and got $22,000.
That's not enough for them.
Yep. So let's divide that up by 17 years divided by, we'll bump it up to 30,000 is only like not even a full like 30,000 for each year that he was in prison. That's not even like, that's barely minimum wages like right there. That is insane. That is crazy. If I work, because if I would have worked 10 years, made $20,000 a year, that would still only be $200,000 right there.
I want somebody to act like they're gonna hit me with a belt and throw hot grease on me.
Yeah, that's insane. That is crazy. That is.
Because I will cut you and put rubbing alcohol in your wounds.
And you get less than minimum wage back. You're not even making a full $20,000 for each year that you were in prison or enslaved, like truly enslaved. This is insane.
Again. Privilege at its finest.
Yeah.
Because had that been one of us,
would have been a whole different
story.
Yeah.
And the tables will turn.
The tables have turned. This week has just been insane. It has just been, do y'all realize this is yet another episode where we have not had an actual topic that we can do group chat? Because there's just so much going on in the world that it's like, dang, he'll never get to a topic again.
No.
Lord God, this is just been.
Got one soon, so we got a few coming up. It's gonna be an exciting next week, I'll tell you that. Impeachment hearings going public. It's crazy. All the Republicans are like, we need public hearings, and then they went to vote. They're like, you know what? We don't want public hearings. Right? They're like, I know we made a big deal about this, but never mind. And now we do want public hearings.
I can't wait. And then, where is it? Trump's chief of staff defies subpoena and impeachment probe.
How you gonna defy a subpoena? Like, you can't just be like,
here's your subpoena.
No.
And probably your mama.
Right. Draw for Uno reverse.
Look, I ain't finna pass go. I'm gonna collect my $200 and I'll bet y'all don't put me in jail.
Right.
What they gonna do? Expel us?
Oh my Lord! This is gonna be crazy. I have no clue what's gonna happen.
Did y'all hear what Tarjay did?
No.
Tarjay? What did Tarjay do?
Tarjay done Okay, so first of all, if anybody knows me, y'all know I like to do makeup on myself. You know, I ain't a pro at it, but I love doing makeup. So e.l.f. is one of my favorite products. So Tarjay done caught himself putting security locks on all the darker color foundation. Tarjay.
Okay.
As in Target.
Yeah,
Target, but it's Tarjay.
I just got that. That just clicked. That was funny. I'm sorry.
I do exactly what I call Target.
Tarjay.
When they be a little.
Even Mr. Producer knew what Tarjay was. Yes, you did. Quit playing.
No, you didn't. It's okay.
No, he didn't. It's okay. But yeah, they put security locks on all of their darker colored foundations. Mm-hmm. So for all the black people, all of their foundations for black people got locks on them, but then all the ones for white people and lighter complexion people you can just go and grab them. But the ones for like black people, specific to our skin tone, you got to get somebody to come in and lock it.
Anti-theft going on. That reminds me of like the Walmart that had like the black hair care on lockdown too. But everyone else can get their swab.
Right. Get that Alberto VO5.
If I want to get some can too.
Or if I want to go get my dark and lovely extra strength relaxer, my grease.
I gotta go find a associate.
We ain't gotta go to Walmart. We'll go to Princess.
Thank you.
No,
Princess is good.
I go to Princess.
Yeah, Princess.
I go to Princess
before I go to
Sally's. You right about it.
No,
I go there before I go to And look, don't play because I will go to Rockford and go to Jets or Beauty Max. Yeah.
We just gotta wait for some white people to remix it. That's been crazy too. The last month I'm seeing remixed white people stuff of like black things. Did you see the white girl that tried to say she invented cornrows? And at the thing for it, I'm like, are you for real? Like, she's talking about her grandmama started the hair trend. I can't remember what it was called, but you know, every time some white people do some stuff like that, they call it something cute.
Like Bantu knots or like buns.
Like, what?
Like,
oh my god.
We just can't have nothing. Dang. Before you know it, they're gonna be saying they invented Black History Month.
I swear.
Man, dang, we just can't have nothing for ourselves, bruh. Like, that's just, this week has just been.
It's been a bunch of crazy stuff.
Guys, it's just, let's just hope next week is just chill. Let's just hope maybe next week we can have an actual topic, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
We probably ain't, but still, I'm just saying.
We can be hopeful.
We can hope for it.
We can always hope. We can always wish. We got a spotlight business.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this really cool dude came into my job, right? His name is Tyler, and he does photographs. He does photography, video, social media, promotions, marketing, all of that. Like, this dude is a jack of all trades for real when it comes to marketing and whatnot. So yeah, shout out to Tyler. I'm gonna post his info on the page because I can't remember his last name. Sorry, Tyler. But I'm gonna post his info on the page when I get it. But he's good people. He's cool. I saw his work. I was looking at his Facebook, and his work is like incredible. So I thought that was awesome. So he's our spotlight. So if you need to get any kind of marketing done, head over to our Facebook page and you can see Tyler there. Also, our spotlight musician, Mr. Wash Hobson.
Hey!
Yeah, we love Wash. Shout out to Wash at the podcast. Wash is doing new music. He's like a full-on musician now. He's writing. Like, Wash is just doing it. I am so proud. I am so proud of what comes out of Beloit Memorial High School. The stuff that comes out of Beloit School District in general. I don't care what powers is in place right now. I don't care what he got to say. I don't care what he has to say. We have some great people coming out of Beloit Memorial. We got the starters of Preneur Production out of Beloit School District. Okay, we got a whole podcast and many other podcasts with hosts out of Beloit School District. We have Hakeem Yarbrough, an actor who auditioned for at Tyler Perry Studios, I believe, out of Beloit Memorial High School, which is where? In the school district. We got who else? Oh my gosh, Pierre Charles, out of school district of Beloit. We have a ton of great people who came out of school district of Beloit. So shout out to all the greats, everybody who's out of school district of Beloit. Just school district of Beloit is great, so he can shut up.
Students.
We
need to work on our staff and faculty. Students.
And some of the staff is
actually our staff is actually pretty
good. Because we have people like my mama,
right,
Yusuf's mama,
right,
Mr. DeCoke,
Miss Pepping.
Oh my God,
Mr. Studeman,
yes, Mr. Capozello. Who
Mr.
else?
Elliott, Mr.
Miss Fine Johnson. Look, let's just start naming our teachers. Saritha Washington, Miss Street,
Miss Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Fun.
Uncle Fun. Boy, the only man.
Schmidt. You know, has a back tattoo. I'm snitching on you, Kleinschmidt. I'm so sorry. Kleinschmidt got a whole like Celtic cross on his back.
Does he?
Yes, he does.
Oh,
Kleinschmidt is iced out.
The more you know.
The more you're right.
Explained in class. He explained the songs. Bands will make her dance in the way that Kleinschmidt will explain the topic. It was amazing and beautiful.
Oh God.
Yeah.
See, and these are teachers that I wish I had, but I never had them. I mean, but then again, we had like Mr. Clocky. I miss him. Who else? Oh God, it was so many awesome teachers. Yeah. Miss Clark. Miss Clark was amazing. I love me and Aaron had Miss Clark. That's when I met Aaron. That was our freshman year, and we've been rocking ever since. Shout out to oh, she did play the guitar. Yeah. I remember she told us she was in a band. I remember. Yep. Yeah. And we kept asking her all year, will you play for us? Will you play? And she said, maybe, because she kind of had that list. I'm sorry, Miss Clark, but I remember she was like, maybe I'll come in and play something at the end of the year. And so on the last day of school, we came in and she had her guitar. We was like, so of course then we had like, you know, you was cool if you had the phone that slid up and had the cord. So all of us was like recording it on our little Samsung phones back in the day. Yes, good caring teachers. We had again, if you had Mr. Capizello, the man cussed like a sailor. He was the cooking teacher, cussed like a sailor, but he was good people. We loved him, had the utmost respect for him. And then you gotta look at the people. Mrs. Johnson and Dr. Tom Johnson. I love Miss Johnson. If you're watching this, hi. And Tom John, you still my favorite principal ever. We love us some Dr. Johnson. It's just those are the key people who made us who we are. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the school district of Beloit for making us great human beings. So look. That's all I got. I don't know what they got, but that's all.
I got one more thing.
Oh, I should announce this. NAACP meeting.
Yeah.
NAACP,
right?
Yes, next Thursday at 6 p.m. over at I don't know the name of the church, but it's where McGlenigan School.
Oh yeah,
no,
where you? No, you're talking about the School by Shaco.
Yes, School by Shaco in there. Next Thursday, 6 o'clock. Please come out. They welcome everybody. The Culture Shock will be in the house. So please come out and join us. President Dorothy Harrell. Hey Dorothy, that's my cousin. I love me some Dorothy. She teaches me how to be, you know, politically correct militant. So she teaches me how to be like fighting for our rights, but how to be nice about it. Even though I be wanting to be like the Black Panthers, but she be like, no, don't do that.
You can't scare too much.
No.
You gotta give it all a hurrah.
Yeah, so NAACP meeting next Thursday. Please be there. You don't have to pay to come, of course. If you do want to join, I think it's $65 a year, but you can just come just to the meetings and the events. So yeah, most definitely come out next week. What you got?
Tomorrow there is a band conversion therapy campus. It's going to be at Bushel and Peck starting at 11 a.m. They're going to push to have a formal ban on conversion therapy in Beloit, Wisconsin, Rock County as a whole, because apparently that's kind of an issue.
It is. I didn't know that
in southern Wisconsin. I did not know that we had a little bit of a problem with that.
And then the meeting is Monday, right?
The actual vote on it is
Monday night, I think at 6 or 7. So
I know it's within the week, but the canvas is tomorrow. We're gonna try to get some good signatures, and
we will definitely put the information on our Facebook page. Get out there tomorrow, get to Bushel and Peck. They got some real fire apple cider, so go out and get you some apple cider and make sure that you sign the petition. We are the Culture Shock. We will know if you didn't sign. No, I'm just kidding. We won't know. I'm just kidding. But no, definitely get out there. Be staying tuned because I can officially announce it. The Culture Shock will be doing New Year's Eve 2020. We will be having the New Year's. Go ahead, you say.
I didn't have anything cool. I'm sorry.
I thought you was gonna do it like the man from the movies.
I was.
Go ahead.
I can't do it. I'm too New Year's Eve 2020. We got this. Go.
Ass. So we will be doing an official New Year's Eve 2020 watch. We will have a special edition of the Culture Shock where we will be coming together with our loved ones, hopefully at my abode. Hopefully we're going to be able to post up there. We are going to have Rockin' New Year's Eve playing in the background, talking about the different people that are on there, bringing in the New Year's safely all together. Of course, my mommy, if it's at my house, gonna be on the podcast because I know everybody love my mom. I don't know why Aaron thinks she was such a diva when she came to the show, but he just think my mom is just a straight up diva. I told her that before I left home. But yes, New Year's Eve 2020. So be looking out for details on that. Like I said, we're gonna start probably around 10 or so that night. I'm thinking we're gonna hash out the details. But we're thinking probably about 10 o'clock that night or so. We are going to celebrate, eat, have music, look at Rockin' New Year's Eve, and talk about everything that went through the year and bring in the new year together and wish everybody a safe and happy new year. And then we go to bed. But, like I said, be watching out. But that is all we got for y'all this week. Bonnie, you got anything else?
Nope.
All right. Well, that is the culture shock, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.